What if I told you that if I had just 8 weeks to lose stubborn belly fat, I'm confident I can make an incredible transformation even while working 60 plus hours a week? Because that's exactly what I did back when I worked a sales position at a massive car dealership. But it's not just me. I've worked one-on-one with over 800 men and women professionals, helping them lose belly fat despite being busy as hell. And you could do it too. In this video, I'm going to break down the exact strategy I would follow if I had to do it all over again. So by the end, you'll have the same blueprint that's helped me and hundreds of others change their physique. Let's get into it. First off, we have the morning routine and meal timing. The way you start your day often determines what the rest of your day will look like. And most professionals generally do one of two things in the morning. They either eat a heavy breakfast full of carbs and fat, or they eat nothing at all. In the first scenario, you're consuming a ton of calories, but by the time lunch comes around, you're hungry again. If you eat nothing at all, you may be so hungry by lunch that you overdo it, also resulting in too many calories. So what do? You don't want to starve, but you also don't want to consume too many calories. I'm going to give you two options, both of which will keep you comfortable from a hunger standpoint and on track regarding your fat loss goals. The first option is for those of you who don't really like to eat in the morning, and my advice is just to have some caffeine in the mornings. Caffeine is a proven appetite suppressant, and it'll make it easier for you to get through to lunch without starving yourself. I usually stick to 150 to 200 milligrams in an energy drink, but black coffee would also be fine. What you don't want to do here is have a coffee full of sugar. But that being said, Starbucks did just release their protein coffees, which could be a great option, bringing me to number two, having a high protein breakfast. Protein is the most satiating macronutrient, meaning you'll stay satisfied for a long period of time. So if you don't want to give up your flavored coffees, get something like Starbucks sugar-free protein latte. A grande comes to 200 calories and 29 grams of protein. And as someone who doesn't really drink coffee, I was seriously impressed, and honestly, I could drink one every day. But if you're the type who generally eats something in the morning, I wouldn't stop here. I'd add something like a Greek yogurt for even more protein, an apple for the fiber, and even a couple of eggs. All in all, it doesn't really matter what you're having in the morning, as long as you're sticking around that golden 10-to-1 food rule I always talk about, where for every 10 calories you're consuming, you get around 1 gram of protein. This makes it easier to stay in a calorie deficit and ensures you're getting enough protein to stay full. So those are your two morning options. For those that don't like eating anything, get some caffeine if you feel it's necessary. For those that want to eat, make it high protein, and yes, you can also have caffeine if you'd like. Before we move away from our mornings, I want to discuss workouts. Back when I was at the dealership, I could be there from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Maybe you can relate, but by the time I got home at night, I was burnt out mentally and working out just didn't seem realistic for me at that time. So what was my other option? Well, obviously, it was to get it done first thing in the morning. And that is my recommendation to almost every professional out there. Studies show that morning workouts often lead to healthier decision making throughout the day. And let's face it, the earlier you plan to work out, the more likely you are to actually do it. Fun fact, when I was working that job, I'd actually wake up at 3:45 in the morning to get my workout in so I had time to work on this very business that I run today. Now, I do not recommend waking up that early, but I had a newborn and was likely awake already anyway. So wake up a little earlier than you do already and get your workout in. Yes, it's gonna suck for the first week or two because your body won't be used to it. But as your circadian rhythm adapts, you'll start waking up earlier naturally. And just as an added tip, try waking up at the same time 7 days a week, even on days you won't be working out. Constantly changing the time you wake up and the time you go to bed is exactly why so many people either struggle to fall asleep at night or struggle to wake up when it's time for work. Your body has like this internal clock, and every time you change up your sleeping times, you're messing with your system. To make this easier to understand, let's put you into two different scenarios. In scenario one, your sleep schedule looks like this. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you're up at 5 a.m. to work out. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, you're up at 7 a.m. to get ready for work. Because of this constant variation in the time you wake up, your body won't ever settle on the right time to either stay asleep or wake up. And this is exactly why you'll either toss around in those last couple hours before you need to wake up because your body thinks you should be getting out of bed, or you'll still feel sluggish when you wake up to work out because half the time you're usually still in bed at this hour. But in scenario two, let's say you kept that 5 a.m. wake up time 7 days a week. After just a few days, your body will already start to adapt, naturally waking up when 5 a.m. hits. And because you're no longer having days where you're up at 7, your hormones will rise at the right time and you'll actually feel awake at 5 a.m. The same goes for when you're going to sleep. If the time is always different, your body won't know when the right time is to lower your heart rate and decompress so you can fall asleep easily. But if you're always getting into bed at 10 p.m., you'll achieve that beautiful thing where you hit the sheets and 2 minutes later you're out. Anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but it could really help you out. Now back to the workout stuff. The most important thing is that we're doing something realistic that you can stick to long term. Because if you use a strategy or approach to get the result, but you stop doing that approach at that point, then you're just going to lose the result. Hence why so many people watching this will lose the weight and gain it back. So if you can't see yourself doing something long term, you need to make adjustments. Now, for the sake of losing belly fat and getting results quickly, 3 to 4 workouts per week is a sweet spot. Again, if that's too much for you, just start with 2 or whatever is realistic. But on those workout days, I recommend eating something small prior to it. I used to be an advocate for fasted workouts, but there are 2 reasons I no longer recommend it. First one being workout performance. We build muscle by doing more weight or reps over time. When we're working out fasted, we aren't supplying our body with much energy to perform. But eating something small like an apple and a Greek yogurt can give you a better chance at accomplishing the goal of progressive overload. And the second reason I don't recommend fasted workouts is because of the afternoon crash. Fasted workouts raise your cortisol levels higher than a fed workout would. So maybe an hour or 2 after you work out, rather than feeling energized from it, you may actually feel a little sleepy and stressed out. So having some food in your system before a workout can actually minimize this. Moving on, let's talk about the actual workouts themselves. If you want to look fit and not just lose weight, strength training is a must. It's what creates that muscle definition and the shape that diet alone can't give you. It's how you'll get that toned body that everyone seems to want. Too many people rely on cardio alone, but it's not the best option for reducing body fat percentage. Sure, you'll burn calories, but the main benefit and purpose of cardio is for cardiac health, your heart. If your main goal is fat loss and building a more toned and aesthetic body, strength training should be your workout of choice. You see, muscle mass is metabolically expensive, meaning if your body doesn't think it needs it, it'll get rid of it. But if we're training properly, we can lose fat specifically, not muscle mass. So what does this look like? Again, 3 to 4 days per week is more than enough. But if you want some kind of routine that hits each muscle group effectively, the 3 most common splits are a push-pull legs, upper and lower, or a full body split. Each of these splits are proven to be effective. It really just comes down to whatever you prefer. You can't just walk into the gym, touch a couple of weights, and come out looking leaner. It's not how it works. Assuming you're the type of person who wants results, there are a few things I need you to make sure you're doing. First is that you're taking your sets close to failure, meaning the last few reps of each set should feel kind of hard, where there's this involuntary slowdown in your set. You're creating a signal to your body that you need more muscle. Second is that you're actually tracking what you're doing. It doesn't need to be complicated, but at the very least, you should know the weight and reps you did for each movement in the previous session. It's going to give you an exact marker that you can aim to beat each week. For example, if you did 150 pounds for 10 reps last week, your goal should be to do that same weight for 11 reps this week or increase the weight slightly. This is called progressive overload. And by making this a priority, you'll have proof that you're getting stronger and building muscle as time goes on. And my third workout tip is to make sure you're resting long enough in between sets. The goal of these sessions isn't to sweat or keep your heart rate as high as possible. The goal is to put yourself in the best position to lift more as time goes on. So if you're only resting for 60 seconds between sets and you're still breathing hard as you go to start the next one, you're not going to perform as well as you would if you rested for a bit longer and waited until you were fully ready. So number 1, take your sets close to failure. Number 2, track your workouts. And number 3, get sufficient rest between sets. Truthfully, most people never make these 3 things a priority in their workouts, and they're left looking the same even after years of effort. One example was my client Ryan. He'd been working out and trying different fat loss strategies for years, but unfortunately, he still looked like he never even started. We teamed up, I built him a custom transformation plan and coached him one-on-one. 6 months later, he finally got the body he was after. I also helped Jessica go from her heaviest weight ever to, in her words, in love with her body, and John went from belly fat to six-pack. These are just a few of the 800 men and women professionals I've helped with my private one-on-one coaching. If you're interested in working together and losing the belly fat guaranteed despite frequent travel, a busy schedule, or years of struggles, click the link in the description to apply for my help. Now, let's get into the part where 90% of professionals screw it all up, the food. You've probably heard the saying, abs aren't made in the gym, they're made in the kitchen. But I like to say abs are made in the gym and revealed in the kitchen. Because after all, muscle is built through strength training and your abs are a muscle. But if you actually want to see them, you do need to lose enough body fat, and we do that through our diet. If I had 8 weeks to lose belly fat, my diet would be built on 3 important pillars. And pillar 1 is something I talked about in my last video, being in a calorie deficit. It's a requirement for losing body fat. The only other way you can lose body fat is if someone cut it out of of you. Now, because I want to minimize muscle loss, I'll stick to a daily deficit of around 500 to 1,000. If you've got a ton of weight to lose, like 40 to 50 plus pounds, you'll be closer to that 1,000 number. But if you have something like 5 to 30 pounds to lose, a calorie deficit of 500 per day is adequate. To be clear, this is a deficit of 500 and 1,000 per day, not the amount of calories you should be eating. Moving on to pillar number 2 is the 10-to-1 food rule, where for every 10 calories, you consume 1 gram of protein. Protein keeps you full, supports recovery, and more importantly, it helps you preserve that muscle mass while you're losing fat. The 10-to-1 food rule just makes it easy to detect whether a food may be helpful or harmful for fat loss. If you see a nutrition label that says 500 calories but 25 grams of protein, you're only getting about half the protein you should be for that many calories. And just a little pro tip, it doesn't matter if the box or packaging says high protein or a good source of protein. The ratio of calories to protein is more important. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to cook all of your meals and only eat chicken and rice for 8 weeks. Which brings me to pillar number 3, which is my favorite, sustainability. Look, cooking your meals is great, and in a perfect world, that's all we would do, but it's not always realistic and can sometimes just be a pain. Sustainability is so important. If you've got no problem cooking every meal, great, that's sustainable for you. But if you would hate every minute of it, then you need a different approach, something you can work with forever. If you want home cooked meals, but you don't want to cook yourself, you can use meal prep services like Factor or HelloFresh. Just filter for high protein, low calorie meals, and you're all set. If you're dining out, go for a lean protein source like chicken, steak, or fish. Add some veggies and skip the high calorie drinks. Just order a water, diet soda, or even an iced tea. For when you're in a rush, fast food can still work. Just customize the option and pick something protein forward like a Chipotle bowl with double chicken or a Subway protein bowl, or even a grilled chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A will work. You don't need to be perfect, you just need those 3 pillars: being in a deficit, the 10-to-1 food rule, and a sustainable, convenient approach. And although I've given you a lot already, there's one last thing I would make sure to dial in if I wanted to lose belly fat as fast as possible. And the answer is a quality sleep routine. Sleep is a secret fat loss multiplier. It's your recovery, hormone regulator, and hunger control switch. Solid sleep will also get you a faster metabolism, making fat loss easier. But if your sleep routine is shot, it's a fat gain multiplier. You'll have worse cravings, a larger appetite, and a slower metabolism, making it a nightmare for fat loss. So to make sure sleep is helping you get results during these 8 weeks, you need to focus on a few key habits to improve its quality. The first tip is what we talked about earlier, going to bed and waking up at the same times 7 days per week. Next, you want to keep your room cold, dark, and quiet. Your environment should signal to your brain that it's time to rest. If the sun is down, your light should be out. And if light comes in through the windows, get blackout curtains. Another thing to consider is to stop eating at least 2 hours before bed. Going to sleep on a full stomach will interfere with your deep sleep and your recovery. You want your body to focus on rest, not digestion. Start with shutting down your eating 2 hours before bed, but work your way up to 3 or 4 hours to increase the quality of your sleep even further. And finally, you can consider supplements like glycine, magnesium, and L-theanine. These will all support deeper, high-quality sleep, making it easier to fall asleep, stay asleep, without feeling groggy when you wake up in the morning. That is the 8-week blueprint that you can use to lose belly fat as fast as possible. Follow the structure exactly, and by the end of the 8 weeks, you'll be visibly leaner, more energized, and back in control of your body, I promise. If after all of this, you still feel like you need help getting started, the link for my one-on-one help is in the description. I've already helped hundreds of professionals, entrepreneurs, and executives lose belly fat the right way, without crash dieting or excessive cardio or unsustainable methods. I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.